Ali Naderi disappeared August 23, 2020 from Eagle Mountain, British Columbia, Canada. Ali, 52 at the time, was last seen at the foot of Eagle Mountain near Coquitlam, British Columbia in Canada on Sunday, August 23, 2020. His vehicle was found near the 2500 block of Diamond Crescent in Coquitlam after he was reported missing when he didn't return home that day at around 9 p.m. Eagle Mountain, also known as Eagle Ridge, is in the Indian Arm Provincial Park. It is the mountainous ridge with many indistinct summits between Bunsen Lake and Coquitlam Lake near Coquitlam, British Columbia, Canada. Its proximity to Coquitlam and the houses being built on its southern slopes, known as Westwood Plateau, make it a very popular weekend destination for hiking, mountain biking, horseback riding, and ATV riding. There's a network of logging roads leading up the south side of the summit to the plateau area with lakes, hiking trails, and mountain biking trails. Ali was described as having a dark complexion with black salt and pepper hair that curls over his ears and brown eyes. He was 5'10" and weighed 176 pounds. He was wearing dark shorts and a dark jacket and carrying hiking poles. Between 40 and 60 volunteers were involved with the search and led by Coquitlam Search and Rescue with help from teams from North Vancouver and Lions Bay. Police said there has been no evidence of foul play and that the case appears to be a hiker who was simply unprepared for the conditions and has somehow gotten lost. Coquitlam RCMP Corporal Michael McLaughlin said in a statement that search and rescue volunteers had searched every nearby trail as well as off-trail locations. Quote, "Given the time frame that Naderi has been gone, his lack of supplies, and the vast backcountry where he went missing, it doesn't make sense to continue searching and potentially put our SAR teams at risk." End quote. Naderi was known to hike alone in the area almost daily, and a trail camera video showed him on the mountain the day he went missing. After 7 days, the search was suspended. Over the week, a crew of 183 trained volunteers spent a combined 2,400 hours searching using GPS, drones, helicopters, and search dogs. Police said the team covered 48,000 square meters of trail, but that each day meant entering riskier terrain with less certainty that they were looking in the right direction. 2 months on, no trace of Ali has turned up, and he remains missing. He had regularly gone up to the mountain with limited supplies, and he knew the area well. It was warm during the summer, so hypothermia is not an explanation. Did he get lost and fall? Perhaps he was attacked by an animal, or was it something altogether more mysterious? In this case, it's assumed that none of his gear was found along with the backpack he was wearing, nor clothing. He also would travel to the mountain with limited equipment, very often, and that the gear he did have was very little. In this type of situation, you really can come up with so many theories that really lead to the same conclusion. Dave Kosh, 36, a publisher for the technology magazine DM Weekly, called his wife at 7:30 p.m. on Wednesday, May 25, 2005, to tell her he was on his way from a business meeting in Seattle to one in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. He told her he planned to watch the sunset on Grouse Mountain once he got into town. Grouse Mountain is one of the North Shore Mountains of the Pacific Ranges in the district municipality of North Vancouver and is 1,200 meters, 4,000 feet in altitude at its peak. It is the site of the alpine ski area, Grouse Mountain Resort, which overlooks Greater Vancouver with 4 chairlifts servicing 26 runs. Public access to the mountain top is by the Swiss Scaravante aerial tramway or the Grouse Grind hiking trail, open for hiking May through October. Credit card slips and video show that Dave purchased a ticket for the Skyride tram at around 8 p.m. The Skyride operates 365 days a year, departing every 15 minutes from 8:45 a.m. to 10 p.m. He was seen riding up by other passengers at 8:30 p.m., then walking for about 10 minutes in the atrium at the top of the mountain. Later video revealed he left the atrium and headed to either the visitor's booth or the bathroom. He was wearing sandals and light clothes and no hiking boots. At that point, he vanished. Dave's laptop, business suit, and cell phone were left in the rental vehicle, which was found Friday, May 27th in the parking lot near the tram. He had been to Grouse Mountain by himself and with his wife Susan before, as he traveled to Vancouver around twice a year due to his business. Though it was late in the day, he probably knew the route he had in mind and that he would make it back down before it got dark. CCTV footage showed him taking long and purposeful strides, knowing he would have to hurry to make his desired destination as he glances at the clock at the upper gondola terminal. Sunset that night was just half an hour later, so he checked the time as he never wore a watch. The clock located near the surveillance camera made it seem like he was glancing around, when in fact, he probably was looking directly at the clock. Kosh's wife flew to BC from Wisconsin shortly after her husband went missing and maintained her determination to find him throughout the frustrating search. She said during the search that her husband was an avid outdoorsman who would rather be in nature than go for a beer or a round of golf. More than 400 people spent 10 days scouring the trails and bush on the mountain looking for Dave. On Monday, June 6, 2005, a solo searcher who had been combing the trails and woods of Grouse Mountain for more than a week looking for clues in the disappearance of Kosh noted the location of the circling eagle and returned first thing Tuesday morning. That day he had hiked up and down the mountain 3 times. The 50-year-old worked independently of the North Shore Search and Rescue, but cooperated and communicated with the team and was very familiar with the trails of Grouse Mountain. Just before noon, the anonymous searcher discovered the body in a drainage gully east of the Grouse Grind, 650 meters east of the Bluffs Trail, where it had likely been carried down the mountain by rainwater and snowmelt runoff. The steep gully was strewn with rocks and logs and other debris. Strangely, searchers and dogs went over the area where Kosh's body was found several times, but failed to turn up any clues. The team speculated it was because the body was submerged in the pool of water. George Zillahai, an operations manager for the volunteer-based North Shore Search and Rescue, said, quote, "Those gullies are usually dry except in areas where there are depressions in the rock and where there may be pools of water. He more than likely was in a pool, and then when the heavy rains came on Sunday, the water level would have risen, and then he would have been carried downstream and then onto this portion of the creek bed," end quote. It appeared he had left the tram station and walked towards the top of the Bluff Trail, arriving at around 9 p.m. sunset. The authorities believe he fell at the point due to his footwear. Dave's body was airlifted out to the coroner's office Tuesday afternoon, where the precise cause of death was determined to be as hypothermia. North Vancouver RCMP Constable John McAdams said there was no evidence of foul play. Quote, "It appears to have been an accidental death," end quote. What happened to Dave Kosh that day? He was clearly in a rush to get to somewhere in Grouse Mountain, since he arrived at the Skyride Terminal late in the day at 8:30 p.m., with the sunset less than half an hour later. Did he trip whilst on the Grouse Grind Trail in fading light and fall into the steep gully? As McAdams said, probably accidental death, but who knows what happened on that mountain that evening. It was strange that his body was discovered in the area searched twice before, but the search and rescue blamed the fact that Dave's body was apparently obscured by water, a case which, in the face of it, appears to be a misadventure whilst hiking without the right footwear and clothing, but who knows.